Welcome back to Rumor Society. On this channel, we share our opinions on social media stories and headline news. Now let's get into today's story. Y'all, so I came across this video randomly on my TikTok page, and I fear that I have gone down an entire rabbit hole. This young lady's name on TikTok is Loudest Whistleblower. This is the first video that came up on my For You page. Before we get into her other videos, I just wanted to show you guys this video.
Good morning, TikTok. I'm scared. Ever since I spoke out about United Health Group, Amedisys, and Optum, things have started happening. I'm scared to even say what those things are. But what I can say is I am not homicidal. I love my kids more than anything. And right now I'm just trying to make sure that we're safe. TikTok, I need eyes on this, please. Good morning.
Y'all, what is going on? That's scary to me. So, like I said, I have not watched any of the other videos. We're going to get into her what I believe is her part one, in which she gives full explanation into what's going on.
Some people asking for the full story since there's so many videos. So here is the full story. My name is Shakoya, and I'm here to experience working at Amedisys. Everything I'm about to share is based on real documents, communications, and my lived experience. This is for awareness, not revenge, and it deserves to be heard. So how it started. I first joined Amedisys as an intake coordinator, and things were going good. My manager was Kristen Bangs. I worked remote. I worked the night shift. She worked the day shift. Please keep that in mind. That's important later. I had my first performance review with her. She said I was sharp, I was reliable, I was handling my 3 counties with ease, nothing but glowing reviews. But it wasn't until I started speaking up that things began to change. So we used different systems like, I don't know if I can disclose that, but I'll say System A, System B, and System C. But System A and System B and System C were all required to do your job. Each one would go down at different times. So it wasn't, these weren't isolated issues. They were widespread, well-known, and constant. Yet we were still being held to the full productivity goals. So I brought this up, and I guess I wasn't supposed to. So that's when the retaliation started. Kristen began micromanaging me. She started sending me directives late at night, outside of her work hours, even though she worked day shift. It began to feel like surveillance. I was being monitored constantly. I would be in one region. She would tell me to get out of that region and go to a different region. One time she would make odd demands asking me to confirm in writing that I understood what is expected of me. Not once, not twice, several times. Please respond, say that you understand what is expected of you in your role. That was her messages to me. So keep in mind, we're remote. I've never met her before. I was meeting my goals when I could, when there weren't system issues. So one time she messaged me, and so previously she messaged and she'll say, respond to this message with a thumbs up so I know you read it. So this was another day like no other. She sends a message. I respond with a thumbs up like I've always done. Her response to me, and I have screenshots, for future reference, next time I expect a written response from you. So I kept it professional and I replied, I understand. I asked for respectful communication, and I asked her to be mindful of our time because I can't always answer quickly. Her response was, I'll get with you later to discuss this. Never got with me later. 2 days later, I got put on a PIP. At this point, I reached out to HR and I said, this PIP is retaliatory. I sent over 30 emails to all of the VPs. But first, let's go back. So initially, I submitted a complaint to HR. HR was supposed to investigate it. She investigated and said that she found nothing. Normally, when there's a retaliation complaint, you're supposed to separate the two people while the investigation is conducted. We were never separated. She continued to be my manager, and she was aware that I had complained, and she began to really micromanage me. It has been known that I go pick up my schools. I take lunch, and that's the time I go and pick up my kids from school. She began to move meetings to that time. And then even in the meetings, go as far as to, I'm going to make this short because, Shaquai, I know that you have to go pick up your kids from school. And then proceed to keep that meeting for over 45 minutes to try to be petty. And, it's childish. So I began to get stressed out because I'm reaching out to HR. My manager is micromanaging me. At this point, I didn't know what to do. So I began messaging all of the VPs. I'm messaging them. My hair is falling out. My skin is breaking out. I'm not sleeping. Please step in, someone. I was loud about it. I sent so many emails. They can never say they didn't know because I sent email after email after email. I asked them for help, and all I got was silence. They never responded. Wow. They investigated. Sorry, I'm just looking at my thing. All right. So HR investigated. They said that there was no retaliation. They didn't offer to transfer me, to transfer her, nothing. They just said, that's it. But I kept pushing. No, I am being retaliated against. She is actively retaliating against me. So then eventually they brought in outside counsel. It wasn't until I went public. And they brought in outside counsel to investigate. However, most people don't know that when they bring in outside counsel, they're there to protect the company, not you. Yep. I was aware of that. They didn't know that I was aware of that. So outside counsel comes in. She takes 2 months. They put me on paid leave. 2 months to investigate. She asked for documentation. She asked for a proof. I said, I'm not going to give you screenshots, but what I will do is I can give you the exact timestamps and the systems where you can locate it. So, for example, most of the stuff happened in Microsoft Teams. So I would say, go on Microsoft Teams on this date, in this chat, at this time. There is the conversation that I'm referring to. I gave them the roadmap. Still, they found no retaliation. Kristen even removed me from a Teams group chat. Then recreated the same exact one with the exact same name. Now, why would a manager do that? Except unless they were trying to manipulate the digital record. When I finally requested my personnel file because shady things were starting to happen, they went even more petty. They waited until the last possible legal day, which was day 30, and they sent it after hours. And even then, it was doctored. The system shows that there were things like in my PIP that I was taking unauthorized overtime because I would clock in 1 minute early. There was in my PIP also saying that I would clock in that I would log on to my remote computer 2 hours early with unauthorized permission. However, I was online, not clocking in, but I was online on my laptop because I was messaging HR about being retaliated against. So my manager, Kristen, was accessing my email, reading my emails that I was sending to HR, and then using that as in her PIP, which is crazy. So I started emailing HR from my personal email, and I even emailed HR saying she's accessing my documents, my personal, if I'm talking to HR, that should be between me and HR, right? It shouldn't be that she has access to those things. And then if I'm bringing it up to you that she has that access, shouldn't you investigate or step in? No one did anything. They just continue to meet with silence. Wow. So in my personnel file, they also included an email from my coworker, a coworker that I've never met. Keep in mind, I work remote, saying that I was not a team player. We don't interact. When I come into work, I do my job. I handle my business. I clock out. Okay? I don't have time for all the other stuff. The email wasn't organic. It was prompted. It was a setup. Why would a coworker I never met send out an email to the manager saying, so that Shakoya, she is not a team player. My manager was trying to cover her tracks, but in doing so, she exposed herself in the same thing. So they put me on a paid leave of absence while they're investigating. The paid leave is going on for 60 days. For 60 days, I'm sending emails asking for updates, anything. No response. Then finally, on the final day of Q2, they fired me. No severance, no offboarding, nothing. Why? Because By firing me on June 30th, they avoided having to report it on their Q2 SEC filings. And when those SEC filings came out, they didn't mention anything. They knew about my EEOC filings. They knew about the retaliation. They knew about all of it. They tried to cover it up. So I went public. And then guess what happened when I went public? Employees started DMing me. They started sharing their own stories about being micromanaged, bullied, gaslit, and discarded. And that's when it became just bigger than me. It became a movement. Employees from Amedisys, Optum, and United Health Group started coming forward. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not crazy. I'm not alone. Everybody's going through this. Amedisys has gone as far as blocking me on Facebook. Tom Whitworth, their VP of Legal, has blocked me after I called him out. Patrick Conway, the president of Optum, I messaged him on LinkedIn. He read the message and left me on red. And so that's why I had to file my SEC whistleblower complaint, because they're trying to do this $3.3 billion merger, but the very employees that are speaking out against, you're not responding to. So I tried everything. I stayed professional. I reported internally. I have a degree in HR, so I know the correct steps that I needed to follow, and I followed every single one. I even would reference their own policies. And all right, TikTok. So I've had some people.
It cut her off. One thing we should know, I think anybody that's working any corporate setting, HR is not your friend. Hey, if you're enjoying the video so far and you would love to see more content like this, please consider subscribing and leaving a like to rate the video. Human resources is not your friend. They are there solely to protect the company from exactly what's going on right now. I'm assuming this is not a risk that was mitigated because it does not appear they are handling this in the correct fashion. This is her full story of what's going on, but I need to catch up to see what led her to what we saw with her crying and everything like that.
So we left off before, but there was a few details that I had forgot to show you how deep. So when Amedisys notified me on June 30th that July 2nd would be my last day, I thought that was strange. So I started looking into it. July 2nd is the last day of Q2, right before they have to file anything with the SEC. So then they turn around and they paid out all of my final wages on July 3rd. And that was my last day. But this is where it starts to get weird. 3 weeks later, I suddenly received a direct deposit from Amedisys. No explanation, no breakdown, just a deposit into my checking and my savings account. And here's the thing. When a company terminates you, they deactivate your direct deposit, right? If they owe you anything, then they will have to send a paper check. But Amedisys, they reactivated my direct deposit. Why? Were they trying to merge the lines? Were they trying to manipulate records? Were they changing dates? Then I noticed something else. Remember I told you about how the systems at Amedisys are always down? System A, System B, System C. Mysteriously, I'm starting to get views from IT consultants from that very company that Amedisys uses. And they're not viewing my page once, twice. They're like multiple times. How would they know my name unless someone at Amedisys sent them to, right?
Yep.
Not even just that. I can see that the VPs of Amedisys, Optum, and United Health Group, they're viewing my LinkedIn. I have premium. I can see who views my profile. They're viewing my profile. So if there's nothing to hide, why are you watching me so closely? So I reached out to United Health Group and Optum because they are about to merge with Amedisys. And one of their executives, Patrick Conway, he read my message and he chose to ignore it. No one ever contacted me to explain the extra pay. No one ever properly offboarded me. There was no equipment return process, no breakdown of benefits, and no termination appeal, even though that's in their employee handbook. There was nothing, just one cold email, and that was it. So make it make sense. The last thing, Amedisys has an arbitration agreement and a termination appeal process, both in their handbook. Yet they provided neither to me. No disclosure, no access, just retaliation. This is the same company that claims to have a strict anti-retaliation policy. But when I spoke up and when others spoke up, silence. Also, they never had me sign an NDA, so I'm going to be as loud as I can. I have nothing to hide. I followed full protocol. I reported the issues the proper way. I emailed, I escalated, I begged for help. I sent over 30 emails to multiple VPs.
Not one of them responded. Not one. Think about that. Not one.
Wow.
So I later found out that I'm not alone, and this is bigger than me. So employees at Optum, United Health Group, and even Amedisys, they've all reported experiencing similar retaliation. Same story. They speak up, they get written up, they get fired. The only difference is that most of them are too afraid to speak up because they still need their jobs. I'm going to be a voice for those who can't speak. And let's not forget, they never resolved the system issues that impacted performance in the first place. Yet the thing that they fired me for, what they put on my termination paperwork, says performance. So what was it really about? TikTok, you tell me. Was I in the wrong? Was Amedisys in the wrong? But I think we all know what's going on here.
Yeah, they are definitely in the wrong, especially if they're sending people looking at her profile, taking a look at her TikTok. The least y'all could do is be discreet. Is that somebody from the old company I used to work for? You know, what's going on here? This is crazy. Let's take a look at some of these comments. Somebody said in this comment, the payout could have been PTO vacation payout, and they would send it via direct deposit. If they have a termination appeal process and didn't follow it, that's not good. Sounds like you need an employment law attorney. Companies take you seriously if you have an attorney. She said, so she responded to the comment. She said, thank you for sharing that with me. Just to clarify, my PTO and vacation were already paid out on my final date, July 3rd, and it showed a zero balance on my pay stub. So there wasn't anything else to be paid out, especially not 3 weeks later. And you're right, they didn't follow their termination appeal process. She said, honestly, companies definitely take you seriously with an attorney, and they also take you serious when TikToks go viral. So I plan to come at it both ways. Okay, good. I'm glad she's getting a lawyer. On her TikTok, she's been posting a lot of emails regarding retaliation other employees have received by these insurance companies. I'm not going to post the other ones, but I thought this one was interesting. This is from a person that worked as an executive leader. She didn't mention which insurance company this person worked for, but this is their story.
Good morning again. I wasn't planning to post another video today, but this one can't wait. This one came from the C-suite level inside one of the companies, Amedisys, United Health Group, or Optum. I'm not going to disclose which company specifically because the person who shared this with me is still working there and wants to remain anonymous. However, they described was a culture of retaliation at the highest levels of leadership. Employees who speak up are silenced, pushed out, and written up until they quit. And instead of fixing the problems, leadership covers them up. This isn't just frontline workers sounding the alarm. This is coming from the top. United Health Group, Amedisys, Optum. What is your response? Tag the media, tag investigators. These stories need to be heard. With thousands of employees speaking up, VP level, C-suite leaders confirming everything, Amedisys, United Health Group, and Optum still chose to 1, ignore it, 2, push forward with their merger, and 3, post on social media like nothing's happening. No, this isn't going away. Every day that they stay silent, we will get louder. The media will get louder. Regulators will get louder. And soon, there will be nothing left to hide. Because you can't ignore the very employees who are holding up the very company. And you can't ignore what employees are reporting. Patients left without the care they need. Patients dying. That is the cost of silence.